Okay, these last two videos are really just a very tiny introduction to where you write code. You become a programmer, and you can always do this just within the framework of Excel. Excel underneath it has a piece of software or a language called Visual Basic for Applications, VBA. And it gives you the power to do just about anything you want in a spreadsheet. You can use it to automate. That's probably the biggest reason. Things that you do on a regular basis that you just can't do with anything else. And you can always turn to VBA to write code. And there's tons of resources out there, but it's part of Excel. So I wanted to show you what it can do. The first thing, when you're in Excel, what you need to look for is this developer choice. And usually that's not part of the default installation. And if you go under File, Options, what you want to look for is under Customize Ribbon. You want to select, because it won't be selected, but you want to select the developer. And once you have this checked, once you check that, then you'll see it. And the only thing I want to focus on the developer right now is really just Visual Basic macros and record macro. So this is how I always start. When I'm going to write code, regardless of what I'm going to write, I want Excel to do some preliminary work for me. So the easiest way to do that is I record a macro. So when I hit record macro, then it starts recording any keystroke that I'm doing. So if I've got a regular routine set of keystrokes that I want to automate and attach that either to a button or to a certain command, I can do that. So again, I'm going to make up something silly, but I'm going to say record macro, and I'm going to call it, this is just a silly macro, and it's going to store it within this workbook. So it's only going to exist within this workbook. And I'm going to assign it to a shortcut key, Control 0, or excuse me, Control O. Let's put 0. I don't know which one's best. I don't want to override anything else, but it doesn't make any sense. So I put a 0, Control 0. So once we've done this, it will fire if I hit the Control 0 key. And you probably ought to put a description, add some detail of what this macro is supposed to do. And I'm going to hit OK. Oh, this needs to be O. Control, make that an O. Now, it's recording anything I do. So anything I do on the keyboard, moving the mouse around, grabbing things in Excel, not the cursor, but it's going to record that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this 5. I'm going to do a copy, put it over here, add that. And maybe this is in another data set. I grab this one, I paste that, I grab this one, I paste that. And then these new ones, I'm going to change the format to something else. I'm going to change, put some yellow around them like that. And then I'm going to put my cursor back up there. Then I go under Developer, Stop Recording. So just like that, I have recorded every keystroke I did. So I can go under Developer, under Macros. This is the macro I just wrote, and I can look at it. I'm going to edit it so you see what code was written. And look what it does. It creates this thing first called sub and end sub. So it creates a subroutine called whatever I called it. It always has these parameters. It adds some comments, the keyboard shortcut. But you can see this is the code that you wrote when it recorded. It went to the range 06. It copied it. It moved to range C8. It did a paste. 07. It copied. C9 paste. So I just went back and forth. And then this part, highlighting, turned it yellow. And then I moved my cursor to cell A1 and I ended it. Now this is probably not that important of a macro, but look what happens when I run it. So I'm going to minimize this, or I could close it out. Actually, I'll just close it out. Let's get rid of all this. Let's get rid of all this. Get rid of this. Let's put some new numbers there. 1, 7, 8. Now I'm going to run that macro, and I can run it two ways. I can go under macros and run it like that, and you can see what it did. It took those numbers, copied and put over there, changed the colors, or I could change these numbers again to 4, 7, 8, and that's kind of silly. That's what I just did, but clear all this out. And I can run it with my Control O. I can also go to my macro, my developer, and I can add add a button. So look at our insert. I'm going to put this form control, which is a button. I'm going to put a button out there. I'm going to assign that macro to it. You can edit the text. Now, again, it's not really doing much, but you can see what we've done is that we wrote code, we assigned it to a button, and now we can write some more important code. And I use it a lot to do data cutting. I use this a lot to when I've got extra columns I want to get rid of, or I'm looking for a particular value and then make decisions against that. And sometimes pivot tables, formulas just aren't sufficient, and so you can always turn and manually do what you want. It's obviously it takes some experience or practice to become a good programmer, but this is a starting point. I'll do another one to show you a more practical example, another video. Thanks.